We had our ups and downs as amateurs. Now as a pro, we're going for 19-0. We have a great team. We have Roy Jones with us, and even as a pro, like I just said, it's expensive, and we had our ups and downs, but we made it. We made it through it, Scotty, and now we're here today, fighting to be Alabama state champion out of North Carolina. So that's a great accomplishment, especially for our state.
Especially online, a lot of people hear about, Roy Jones Jr. training, but they don't know the backstory of how that ever happened. How did that materialize? You actually run into Roy Jones Jr.
Well, it came from me promoting Mike Jr. I used to actually get laughed at because I would put out so many videos, and people would crack jokes. And all the videos, Mike Jr. really wasn't doing anything special to other people, but he was special to me. And then one day, a lady by the name of Sunshine, she seen one of the videos. She thought Mike Jr. was special, and she reached out to Roy and said, "Roy, I think you might be interested in this young man." Roy seen the video, and Roy liked Mike Jr. Called us down to Pensacola to fight, and Mike Jr. passed all the tests, and Roy said, "I want to train your son."
I would say, in observation, like a lot of people, you did an incredible job. You almost like you are the genius behind this moving train of your son, Michael Williams Jr. 150. You basically created a brand, and you brought along people that's been there since around that day one. Tariq, let me ask you this, man. You've known them longer than I have. How did that relationship between you and Senior develop?
From Fayetteville, North Carolina, me and my dad are real boxing fans. So my father, used to box for the Army, and we would go and travel to look at matches. So we heard there was a kid from, Fayetteville fighting out in Charlotte. And we actually went out there, and to tell the truth, it wasn't Michael Williams Jr. It was another young kid out of Fayetteville. So when we went out there to Charlotte on Christy Martin's card, we ran across Michael Williams Jr. and his fight was actually more exciting than the fighter that we went to go and support. We knew neither one of them personally. So once we went out there and we seen it, and I seen his dad and how their relationship was, I told my dad, I was like, man, we need to follow this guy.
Was he a pro then?
Yeah, he was already pro.
Okay.
Yeah, he was already pro. I can't remember. Was he 1-0, 2-0, 3-0?
He was around there within the first three fights.
Yeah, I think it was second fight or whatever. Yeah. So once we went out there and we seen him, we started following him. And then, Carl Pringle and another guy, Swan Davis, in Fayetteville, community organizers, they was gathering up people, supporters from Fayetteville to travel.
Yeah.
So the next fight was back in Charlotte. Swan and Carl had a bus, a load of people. Me and my family, whole family, all right, drove down behind the bus, and it's been a wrap ever since, man. It's a beautiful thing.
See, you have a background, military veteran, law enforcement, but yet you've been in boxing for quite a while.
Right.
How did you even come to that point and say, this is what I need to do for my son to be successful? Where did you get all your material from? Is this something you created yourself, or did you do research, and did you talk to people that's in the sport? How did you come up with a plan and a format to raise your son up?
Well, I always dibbled and dabbed in boxing, whether I was training or I wanted to make a pro debut. But I think when it came to the business aspect of it, I got my first break from an ex-world champion by the name of Vivian Harris. Like you just said, law enforcement, I was doing EP work. That was like bodyguard work. So he picked me up to go to Mexico with him, just to hold him down. And then when he realized I had some boxing knowledge, and it went from that to holding mitts from him, to he's like, hey man, I want you to be my coach. And then he started teaching me about the business of boxing, the do's and don'ts. Learn from my mistakes. Don't let your son go through what I went through. And then marketing wise and promoting that's just me. I got a music background of being a promoter in music. So boxing and music goes hand in hand. So I just took music the way I would do music, to push an artist in music. I'm gonna push my son the same way, and then that's how it all worked out, man.
Was there ever a point when you was raising him up from the ground floor, you know, he was early in his professional career, did you say to yourself, like, this is tougher than what I thought?
Never. I think the only thing that was tough about it, man, me getting the material out to the public is easy. You know what I'm saying? Financially, man, as a pro, even you know what, even as an amateur, man, God is so great, bro. I gotta give it to God. God is great, and people just took to Mike Jr. You know what I mean? So between God being great and great people, we were able to make it happen. Because financially, bro, it was just that gets tough. That gets tough. You know what I'm saying? Traveling as an amateur, going to the Nationals, traveling to the Sugar Bursts, and you got to keep doing it over and over again. You know what I'm saying? Then as a pro, as you know, a lot of people don't understand, when you're independent, you have to have money, then you have to pick the right fights for your fighter, because you can waste money. You pay a guy $3,500 for $1,000, and then he beats you, that sets you back. So we were very blessed to have a great team, great support, and money.
Yeah, speaking of independence, you know, it's not something that everyone can do.
No.
I mean, you pretty much change out the uniform every fight.
Yep.
You come up with color schemes that no one else is out there with.
Yeah.
It takes a lot, man. I'm not gonna lie. You know, Tariq, you've been with them for quite some time. You've probably seen almost every outfit they put together.
For one, you know, marketing genius. I told him that last night. You know what I'm saying? Marketing genius when it comes to color schemes or the theme that he's gonna run with. You know, everything from the music all the way down to, you know, how Mike performs in the ring. And that's another thing. Straight entertainer, you know, in the ring. So the people get the science of boxing because of his style, the angles and everything he presents, and then they get an ultimate show, and it stems from my brother right here.
There have been many conversations like when you was building Mike's professional career, like he was talking about. Right now, he's about to step into the ring, man. He's 18-0. He's about to go in there for his 19th professional fight.
Right.
You seem to have the metric to building up your son. Not to rush him too fast,
Yes, sir.
but not too slow either. Because there was one point in time that he was like fighting 4 times a year.
Yep.
You know, 4 or 5 times a year.
Yep.
So what was your thought process in that? How did you come up with how fast you should be moving your son?
Well,
By his performances, or did you get advice from some of your team members or family?
No, to be honest with you, man, Scott, shout out to World Combat Sports, man. Great. You ask the best questions, man. Stuff that people want to know, right? So, first of all, you have to know your fighter. You have to know your son, right? You have to have a pure heart in this. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't be too protective, and I couldn't. I don't know, man. It's like you just have to know your fighter. I knew my son's age. He was young. We got a lot of time, right? I knew he was still learning on the job as a pro, because we didn't have 300 amateur fights, right? It was still things he didn't know, and it was just picking, not rushing him, man. Because if I would have listened to other people, bro, Mike Jr. would have probably had some. Mike would have had some losses on their record, man. But it's about knowing your fighter or your son, man, and and what I meant by having a pure heart. Some coaches they do it for money. They want to hurry up and rush your fighter. Some coaches live through their fighters. You might be this ultimate beast or killer, but your fighter's not. So you can't put your fighter in fights that you think you would have won when you were young, because you're not them. You know what I'm saying? Like Mike Jr., best example. Mike Jr. is not Roy Jones. When Roy Jones was 22 years old, I believe he was on his way to being a world champion. That's not Mike Jr. Mike Jr. will eventually be a world champion, but he's not a Roy Jones. So it's about staying in your lane and knowing your fighter.
I have a 2-part question for the both of y'all. Because I know we're on a time schedule, and we're about to step in the ring later on tonight. Let me ask you this, though. I know you spoke about Mexico and you running into one of the most popular notarized fighters in the sport today, Canelo Alvarez. And you told me about that story that you ran into him, but somehow, some way, you all didn't get to exchange words, or you didn't know who he was, or you did know who he was.
Yeah, I knew who he was.
You know, could you explain that Because I think that was a unique situation. Or you could talk about another one.
No, I like that. And I'm going to give you the picture, too. So when you post this, add that picture to it. So what happened was I was in Mexico. I knew who Canelo Alvarez was. I was in Mexico. So Vivian Harris, I was with my bro Vivian. Vivian told me, and Vivian was fighting Canelo's brother. So Vivian told me to go in the locker room and watch Canelo's brothers get his hands wrapped. So Canelo comes in there. English wasn't all that good, and there was some reporters in there. And me and Canelo was standing next to each other, and he just tapped me. He's like, "Hey," and he pointed to the camera, and he gave a thumbs up. But I thought it was a distraction. So I didn't even take the picture with the brother, man. The brother wanted to take the picture with me. And when you see the picture, you will see me. You see Canelo with a thumb up, and I'm in the back of him because I wanted to focus on his brother. Loyalty is everything. Now, I ain't gonna lie to you. I wish I can go back in time because I would have took 3 seconds out to take that picture with him. But Vivian was more important, man. You know, my bro was in there risking his life, man. And in Mexico, they got different rules over there, man. Anything can happen.
And a lot of people don't know that. They think it's just easy work. You know, a lot of fighters in boxing build their record up over there in Mexico.
Yeah.
But it's not that easy sometimes. You run into some tough fighters.
Listen, I'm going to tell you something. That's another great question. You young fighters, if you can build your record up here in the U.S., number one, it's much safer. And you can do it. You know, people talk trash about Mike Jr.'s box rec, right? But we're going to stay on Canelo. Go look at Canelo Alvarez's first 20 fights and see what you get. He fought absolutely nobody. But when it comes to Mike Jr., everybody's down our throat that we need to fight this, we need to do that, we need to do that. No, because guys, one thing I learned about Mexico, they getting tired. They're getting tired of being used. So you American fighters, you going over there and they matching you up, and some of you are taking losses quick. Quick. Some of the young prospects are going to Mexico and losing when they could have stayed home and called skip and got them a win. And got them a win.
They could have got their home base pre-order fighter. You know what I'm saying? Mr. TKO, you've been here for a long tenure. You've seen it all with Team Williams. What's been a unique moment for you, man?
Man, I would say 10-0. I mean, that was a significant mark. You know, when you get 10-0. You know, fighting back from adversity, you know what I'm saying, at times when it was tough in the ring for Mike, because like Three say all the time, you know, we don't have to perform and do it in the ring. He has to, so we can, you know, pray for him, hype him up, do all these things. But when I've seen his back against the wall and that young kid with heart, determination, and just want to be great come out of that to still, you know, come back and win and do his thing, that's been the times where I knew, you know, he really was a tough fighter and wanted to succeed.
That's what's up, man. That sounds genuine. That's good to hear. You know, even the father and you've been around and seen this rise to the top. You know, hey, 300. Let me ask you this.
Yes, sir.
Heading into this fight tonight, you back in Gaston, Alabama. I think this is his 4th fight here, right?
Talk to me.
5th, right? No.
I think it's like 4th or 5th fight.
4th or 5th. Yeah.
Yes.
Damn.
Yeah.
Boy, yeah. That's why we were eligible to fight for the state title. You're right, Scott.
So that's why I brought that up. You know, he's about to step into the ring and fight for a state title, which is a big deal.
Yeah.
You know, plus coming back into the hometown of someone else's backyard for a 5th time.
Yeah.
So you know it gets tougher and tougher.
Yeah.
Talk about that last fight, man. I never see you lose it on the sidelines, but you show genuine, unconditional emotion when you congratulating your son after the fight. Talk about that last fight leading up to now.
When in boxing, right? Everybody, I don't care if you playing a villain. Everybody wants to be loved. So for Mike Jr., again, he's young, and he doesn't really understand everything. So Mike doesn't make fun of nobody, doesn't talk about anybody, doesn't badmouth anybody. He's clean cut. So when we came here and he had about 40 people, we don't know these people from Alabama, and they just don't like Mike Jr. So, you know, they had a guy that they was rooting for, which was Anthony Curtis, and they showed it. They booed us, they called us names, And Mike heard all that. And then on top of that, that same fight, Mike got dropped. So I knew what my son was going through. I felt it. I felt it. But I was also proud because as a young man, he kept his composure. Even when he got up, he finished the round, he waved to the crowd like, okay, y'all gonna boo me.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go. Yeah. Keep booing me, and I'm gonna come back and win this fight. And he did, man. So it was very emotional, Scotty, and that's why I hugged him and I cried a little bit. And he cried bad.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Fell
so
into your arms.
It was a close call, bro. It was a close call, and but now see, he learned, man. So even it wasn't a knockdown that bothered him. I think it was a crowd too, bro. Mike was like, damn, they all against me. But we needed that. So moving forward, man, when he's fighting in front of 20 and 30, 40 people booing him, that's, man, they're turning Mike Jr. into a monster. You really are.
And I know, speaking of media, TKO, you was ringside. I was looking at your live, and you was showing the people on the outside of the ring.
Yeah.
You know, what was going through your mind? They up there, you know, booing and hoping the man lose and everything.
Well, I mean, just to document that all, because I knew, you know, Mike was tough and he was going to, you know, do his job in the ring. To document that all, to come back to the day and say, look where we came from, to where, you know, you got up and you did your thing. And, you know, like you said, hate sometimes fuels the fire of a champion. So at the end of the day, I just wanted to capture it all. It was the moment, and it was the perfect moment. So when they raised his hand and said, and still, or knew whatever that fight was, I knew that we were going to look back at that footage and it was going to be special.
Yes, sir.
It was special.
All the footage, you know, means a lot, you know, especially when you catch it in its natural moment. 300, what do you have to say heading to this fight tonight? We're only a couple of hours out.
Yes, sir.
He's the co-main event.
Yep. What I gotta say tonight is, don't blink. In the words of my man Greer, don't blink. We making this short and quick, and we getting out of Alabama because they're gonna be pissed tonight. They're gonna be mad tonight. So short and quick.
What about you, TKO?
Hey man, I'm looking forward to what he brings new to the ring, because each and every time he step in there, he gives us a different point of view to look at when we go back home. So, hey, I would just say congratulations already to every fighter that step in the ring, because it's tough. But I'm looking forward to the show.
Thank you, fellas, once again. You know, allow me an exclusive interview. Team Williams Jr. on deck, Gaston, Alabama. Shout out to Michael Williams Jr. 150 once again. Continue to grow in the sport. Michael Williams Sr., salute to you for all your creativity, your support, and how you're raising them up. And also you too, TKO, being a team member for, you know, since day one almost, seeing them back then. And you have been a part of the growth process.
Yeah.
And I'd like to thank you both. Salute for work on back.
Mentally and financially. Word up.
Salute.
So setting the stage, you should give me my props. You ain't got no soul, you lacking the spirit. You talk out your neck, I'ma show you I'm with it. I been really happy for you to sit and watch me win again and win again and win again. I know it's probably getting on me and win a synonym. So if I ever win again, it's nobody did the minimum. I didn't have to sell my soul.